Okay, so this video, again, looking at the sine rule, but this time we're looking at missing angles. So the previous video we looked at missing sides, we're now on to missing angles. But just to really quickly recap, and we saw this on the previous video, just a few slides. Right, again, just to make sure, we use the sine rule when we're given two pairs of opposite sides and angles. So this stuff down here below. So very important, you can only apply the sine rule when you're being given a pair of sides and angles, but two pairs of them. So you can see here, you've got two pairs of opposite sides and angles. So side angle, which we saw last video. So that's important. You can only apply the sine rule given that two pairs, opposite sides and angles. And then we saw, very importantly, for the sine rule, when you label up your triangle, we label our sides A, B, and C in any order, where your angle opposite it is capital A, opposite B, capital B, opposite side C, capital C. And we saw that on the previous video. So hopefully these formulas here, well, particularly this first one, is familiar. But today, right, we're looking at finding missing angles. So we're just looking at this one here. But note, it's very similar to the one you've just been doing. For finding sides, okay, it's A over sine A equals B over sine B. This time, for finding missing angles, very similar. You just flip your fractions. So the sine A is now on top, A is on the bottom, sine B on top, B on the bottom. So for this video, right, because we're looking at missing angles, we're using this formula below, which is very similar to last video, but it's just been flipped over, okay? Right, let's look at a my turn, your turn. So we'll look at a my turn, your turn, and then you can try two examples yourself, and you can mark your work, and we'll go from there. Okay, question one, the first my turn. It says find angle F with any sine problem. We need to first of all make sure you label your triangle, which is very, very important. Using this stuff here, so using this information here. Okay, I like to label my missing angle, the thing that I'm trying to find, angle F here. Let's go and call that capital A, and let's use a different colour. Let's go and call this angle F here, capital A, and then the side opposite the angle, so this side here, is going to be lowercase a. They're opposites. You've then got your other angle, let's go and call that 67 angle B, which is here. Your side opposite the angle is going to be your lowercase letter, so lowercase b. These are opposite pairs of angles and sides. And then from here, it's just a case of substitution into our formula, which is this. Okay, so we've got a sine of your angle A, which is going to be, that's right here, sine of your angle, or angle A, we can see here, angle A is F, that's what you're trying to find. So sine of F, and write it in a bracket, over lowercase a, which is your side, which is here, 7.9, 7.9 is equal to sine of your angle B, so sine of the angle B, which is 67, over your lowercase b, which is your side here, which is 9.1. And very similar to the previous video, okay, we've got to get rid of this dividing by 7.9, so I've got to multiply through by 7.9 on both sides. If I do that, I'll get sine of my angle F is equal to 7.9 timesing through by this. So sine 67 over 9.1. Okay, so I've got sine F is equal to this stuff here, which is just going to be some long decimal. And the same thing with grade 5 trigonometry, right? If I'm trying to find F, which is the angle, okay, angle F is the angle, I've got sine F, I've got to do the inverse of both sides to get rid of that sign there. And look, I'll do this a bit longer the first time just to make it really clear what's going on. So first of all, right, let's go and simplify this part over here. I wouldn't normally do this, but to make it really clear what's going on, we can say that sine F is equal to, and then put this bit here, so 7.9 times sine 67 over 9.1 into your calculator really carefully. And if you've got a good calculator, this shouldn't be an issue. So let's put it in over 9.1, and that is equal to 0.79911, so on and so forth. And then, right, to find F, you've got to go and take the inverse of sine of this side. So we're going to be getting, let's write it down here, F is going to be equal to sine inverse of this, which is 0.79911, which is equal to, put that into your calculator, and you will get roughly 53 degrees. Okay, so that is your angle F. This angle F here is 53 degrees. Look, the step that I wouldn't do myself, and I wouldn't really recommend you to do, but if it makes it easier, maybe you can do, is I wouldn't bother typing this bit to equal that decimal. I would actually just go straight from this line and say, well, that f is equal to sine inverse. Trying to get rid of this sign here, and just take the inverse of this bit here, so 7.9 times your sine 67 over 9.1. This here is exactly the same thing as that decimal, but you don't have to do an extra line, and you're less likely probably to make a mistake. So really, this line here, where we put this bit into a decimal, you can go straight from this and then sine inverse this part, which is what I'm going to be doing from now on, but it is up to you. Okay, either way you'll get the same answer, but here, you might not round correctly and you might get a different answer at the end. So I would go straight from this part here, sine inverse that to get your 53. Just something to bear in mind. Okay, you can try that your turn. Pause the video, give that a go, and I will go through it now. Okay, again, we're trying to find angle E. First thing to do is to make sure we label up our triangle and do this carefully. It's very important, this step. So we're trying to find angle E. Let's go and call that capital A. Your side opposite the angle is going to be lowercase a. Then your other angle, let's go and call capital B. Your side opposite the angle, lowercase b, and then we can go from here. Again, we're now just plugging in our parts here into our formula. So we're going to get sine A, where A is E, that's the angle that you're trying to find. So sine of E here over lowercase a, which is your side A, which is that 5, over 5 is equal to the sine of your angle B. Capital B is 61, so sine 61 over lowercase b is equal to 8, so over 8 here. Again, we're trying to get rid of that dividing through by 5, so I can times both sides by 5, so we'll get sine E is equal to 5 multiplied by this part here, so sine 61 over 8. Okay, and I'm trying to find E, but I've got a sine there. To get rid of that sine, I've got to go and take the inverse of sine on both sides. So I get sine inverse, and then again, this bit here, you could write it as a decimal, like I did down here, but I'm going to go and take the inverse straight away of all of this here. But just be careful when you type it in. So 5 multiplied through by sine, my writing is not looking good. Very tired. Sine 61 over 8. There we go. And then plug that into your calculator, typing it very carefully, and we should be good. So sine inverse of 5 times sine 61 over 8, and we should get 33 degrees, okay, or 33.1 degrees, just depending on how you round your answer. Okay, so this is your answer for that, your turn. If you got that, really, really good. Okay, good work. So just 2 more questions there that you can give a go. So you can pause the video, give those a go using your formula here, and then you can mark your work at the end. If you get stuck at any point, as always, you can rewind and go through as you need to. Okay, let's begin. Step 1, you've got to label up your missing angles and sides. Very important. So this angle here, that's going to call that capital A. Your side opposite that angle is lowercase a, and then similarly over here we've got angle B, capital B, side opposite it is going to be lowercase b, and then from here it's just a case of substituting into our formula for angles. So sine of the angle A, angle A is equal to that thing which we call theta, which is what we're trying to find. So theta over lowercase a, which is 5, and that is equal to sine of the angle B. Angle B is 75, so sine 75 over your lowercase b, which is equal to 8. So to do some rearranging here, we've got to go and get rid of that dividing through by 5, so we can times both sides by 5, so we'll get sine theta is equal to 5 multiplied by sine 75 over 8. We're trying to find theta. To get rid of that sine, I can go and take the inverse. So sine inverse of everything here, and it is everything. So you've got to go and put the whole thing into brackets, which is very important. So put that into brackets. Okay, over 8. And again, this part here, you could write as a decimal now, but I'm not going to, because actually I think it makes it a bit trickier. If you've got a good calculator, so a Casio, it's much easier just to write it in like this. Okay, let's go and do that. So sine inverse 5 times sine 75 over 8, which is 37.1 degrees. And that is our answer. There we go. 37.1. Let's go and put that in a different colour, make it a bit more clear. There we go. Good. Sorry, I'm writing this terribly. Sorry, 37, say 37 degrees. That's our answer. Good. Okay, question 2. I want to find angle theta. Again, this missing angle. This time you're given a bit more information than you need, but it's just about distinguishing which sides and angles you actually need. Well, first of all, I'm trying to find this angle, so I like to always begin by labelling that one A to start with, and your side opposite is going to be lowercase a, which is going to be over here. And then I've been given two sides here, but really importantly, you want to use the angles and sides that are opposite each other. So these two here, these are opposite, so use those two. So this angle here is angle B, side here is lowercase b, and then just a case of substitution. So you just got to make sure that you're using the right sides and angles there. So sine of the angle A is theta, again, which is what I'm trying to find. So sine of my angle theta over lowercase a is equal to 7, is equal to sine of the angle B is there, so sine 78 over side B, where B is 10.652, 10.652. Again, I've got to get rid of that dividing through by 7, so times through by 7 to get sine of my angle theta is equal to 7, multiplied through by sine 78 over 10.652. I've got sine theta. I'm trying to find theta, which is the angle that I want. So I've got to take the sine inverse of everything here. So theta will be equal to sine inverse of 7 times through by this, sine 78 over 10.652. 10.652. Close the big bracket and then type this into your calculator. Again, this part here, right, if you wanted to, you could go and write that bit as a decimal if your calculator isn't the best, but most of us have got a Casio, which is much easier. Just to go and type in sine inverse of 7 times fraction sine 78 over 10.658, 10.652, which is equal to 40 degrees. Let's go and put that in green. 40 degrees, and that there is our answer. So there we go, year 11. If you got those correct, then really, really well done. That is fantastic. That is pretty much the sine rule. In fact, that is the sine rule. We've looked at missing sides and now missing angles. It does get a bit more tricky because they might put triangles with other triangles, and you've got to work out whether to use trigonometry or Pythagoras or the sine rule or the cosine rule, which we'll be looking at next. But I will have a video looking at kind of all of them combined and then choosing which one to use. But for the time being, that's the sine rule. So if you got the previous video and this video, that is another topic in the bank, which is fantastic. Thank you.